Welcome to this tutorial on how to use CDP Virginia, Virginia's online code development process. In this webinar, we will be taking a look at how to create proposals using CDP Virginia in depth. We will not be discussing the collaboration tools, as those are discussed in another webinar. Please check the CDP Virginia page for links to the collaboration webinar. First, let's log into CDP Virginia. You can visit va.cdpaccess.com and it will bring you to the login page for CDP Virginia. If you've ever used CDP Access or CDP Virginia before, you've already got an account and you can sign in here. If you need to create an account, click the Click Here to Register button and it will take you to a screen that's free and fast and will allow you to create an account now. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes. If you have an account but you've forgotten your password, the Forgot Your Password link here will take you to a form that will confirm your identity, send you an email, and allow you to reset your password. I'll go ahead and log in now, and we'll begin working with CDP Virginia. When accessing CDP Virginia, the first page you'll be taken to is the CDP Virginia timeline. This page will allow you to access information about the work groups, the proposals in the proposed regulations phase, and the proposals in the final regulations phase. These tabs only provide information and do not change CDP Virginia over to a different phase. This green button here currently indicates that I'm viewing proposals in the proposed regulations phase for 2015. If I needed to change over to a different phase, I simply need to click this button and it will bring up a prompt that will allow me to change over to a different phase. Let's go ahead and click on the Proposals button at the top of the screen, since we are in the correct phase currently, and take a look at creating a brand new proposal. This Proposals page will show you a number of different proposal listings. It will always first bring you to this My Proposal listing. Proposals you've already created will be given in detail here, and proposals you may have been invited to collaborate on will show in detail here. You also have the opportunity to view all current submitted proposals that are being discussed by the work groups. Click on View All Current Proposals, and it will take you to a listing of those proposals with information about each. Click on the proposal ID on each one to view the proposal completely. You might notice the Add to Favorites button underneath the name of each proposal. If you'd only like to track certain proposals, click Add to Favorites underneath the title, and it'll automatically add that proposal to favorites if you've got permission to view it. Click on View My Favorites, and any proposals that you've added to your favorites list will appear here with the correct information to allow you to track it through the code development process. The last tab, View Public Proposals, allows you to view proposals that have not yet been submitted to the DHCD, but are currently available for public viewing. Clicking on this button will show you a proposal with a search function, so you can search for specific content amongst the public proposals. When you access a public proposal, the proposal's owner name will always be displayed in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. So if you view a public proposal that you'd like to collaborate on, you can email the individual responsible for that proposal and ask to be joined in with collaboration tools. Let's go back to the My Proposals tab and look at creating your first proposal. You can see that I've already created a proposal here, but I always have the opportunity right here to create a new proposal in the system. Click on Create a New Proposal is just like clicking the File New button in Microsoft Word, in that it gives you a blank file with all of the pieces you need to create a proposal in the system. Let's take a look at those tools from top to bottom and go into depth on each one in turn. First on the top, you have the Name Your Proposal tool. Click where it says Click Here to Edit, and you have the opportunity to give your proposal a name. This proposal name will only persist until you submit the proposal to the DHCD, when it will be assigned a tracking number. This can be very useful if you're going to show others or invite others to collaborate on your proposal, as it gives them a sense of what the proposal is about before they actually access the proposal. If I want to call this webinar proposal, All I have to do is type that in the screen, click Save, and now anytime anyone accesses this proposal, they'll see that the title of it is Webinar Proposal. Right underneath the title are the collaborator tools. As previously mentioned, we won't go in depth into those tools, but know that you can use these tools to invite others to view your proposal even before you submit it to the DHCD, as well as give them editing access if you'd like them to work on the proposal with you. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit to the main body of proposal creation. Each one of these tabs on the right-hand side will give you a piece of the proposal to modify. You'll need to take a look at each one of these tabs and input the correct information before you'll be able to submit your proposal to the DHCD. The first tab here is Code Sections. This will allow you to import code sections from the currently existing code books, both the current Virginia code as well as the 2015 I-codes, and create new code sections to insert into the code books. Use the section controls in the left-hand listing to add new content. Create Add Existing, and it will allow you to choose a book. It'll allow you to choose a book part, if relevant, a chapter, and of course a section. And it will allow you to view all of the code sections within that book section. Clicking the checkbox on the left-hand side of the listing will turn that yellow, and will select that code section to be added into the proposal. You can select as many of these as you choose, including tables, and then when you have all of them selected that you'd like, click Add Selected Sections to Proposal. As you can see, this will add those code sections over here in the left-hand listing. If you'd like to create brand new code sections, click Add New, and select Code Section, Figure, or Table as relevant. You'll need to let the system know which book and which chapter you'd like to add the new content to, and then click Create New Content to generate a new section in that chapter. You can see here that it's been added at the top of my listing. If I want to rearrange the order that these code sections are listed in, this yellow button will allow you to make that reorganization. Click on it, and you'll be able to click and drag these code sections wherever you'd like in the listing. So if I want to put this new code section last and this table first, it'll allow me to make that reorganization. I can always move things back as well and make sure that things are in the order that I want them to be in. Once I've confirmed that they're there, click Apply New Order to save it, and close this window, and you'll see that those have been already ordered in my column over here on the left. To make edits to each code section, go ahead and click on the section title. That will open an editing window here in the middle and will allow you to make changes. You'll notice that though you do need to use legislative format to mock up your code change, you're not going to be able to select a strike through or an underline button here. The system does the strike through and underline for you. Let's say instead of testing option, this should be properly titled examination option. All I need to do is delete testing and type examination. I can either wait a few seconds for this to automatically update, or I can click save if I'm sure it is what I want it to be, and that preview is going to update for me. You'll notice that the title even updates in the listing over here on the left, so that I know exactly what I'm looking at and I'm accessing my new content. The same goes if I want to make changes to my content in the main body here. All I need to do is scroll down. Let's say that I want to move this exception up to number 1. I can delete this, and I can come up here and put the new exception in here. Once I've made those changes, they'll be changed over here as well in the section preview. And once I'm happy with my changes, I can go ahead and click save and confirm that those are there. Now we understand that sometimes this section preview window just isn't big enough. If I've got this open again, Sometimes it can be very difficult to read crushed into this little space here. There are two ways that you can view this in a much broader format. To just view the section that you're working with, this arrow button here will expand it a bit or collapse it to give you more space in the editing window. If you would like to view your code changes in a larger space, you can use the proposal preview buttons that will always be in the top here. HTML is a great way to view your proposal on a tablet, as it gives you a full width view with all of the information that you need. The PDF view is great if you'd like to download, save, keep a copy, or even send a copy over to someone. Clicking on that produces a PDF just as you would expect, with the information in place here. Now let's go ahead and scroll down, because if you recall, I had a table that I wanted to make edits, and editing tables are a little bit different. You'll notice that the table has been divided into 3 pieces, though they're all gray to make sure that it's clear that they all belong together. The first piece of the table, if I click on it, will only let me edit the number and the title of the table. The second piece, currently labeled Screen 1, will give me the first piece of the content of that table. For complex tables that go over more than one page in the printed book, there will be additional screens so you can take a look at the content one page at a time. The final piece here is this footnote piece. The footnote is stored separately, but is also editable in the same way. There is one exception for the rule about strike-throughs and underlines, and that is the main body of table content here. Because we understand that the aesthetics and how a table is displayed are very important, and we wanted to give you maximum flexibility in modifying your table, we do not automatically diff or automatically legislatively format your tables. Instead, if you want to remove content, you will need to use the strike through button here. And if you add new content, you will have to use the underline button. Please note that you'll just still need to save it in the same way for that information to move to the preview and into your proposal. When you are adding new code sections and new tables, the editing tools work in the same way. If I scroll down on my listing here to the brand new code section that I added and click on it, you'll notice that I have the same tools, but I do need to give it a new section number. Let's call this 305.2.2.1, and I'll need to add a new title as well. I'll also be able to add new content. And as this is a brand new code section that wasn't included in the code books previously, the entire piece will be underlined automatically in the section preview. Again, once I save, you'll notice that over here in the listing, the title and number are automatically updated to make it very easy for you to access that new information. We know that the legislative preview isn't perfect, and that sometimes a human needs a little bit more clarity than a computer does. If you have a code section where the strike through and underline doesn't appear as you'd like for it to appear, you do have the opportunity to override that. This legislative override is currently listed as off. If you click on this red button, it will take you to a place where you can turn that legislative override on. Once you have updated that to enabled, you'll notice that you now have a box with the strike through and underline in place so that you can override those changes. Let's note that the exception was listed twice here in the strike through, so I can take that off, click Save, and my proposal now appears as I expect it to. Once you have done legislative override, you will always need to click on this now green button to access the changes that you've made. Clicking on the title itself will remind you that the legislative formatting is on, and if you make any changes here, they will not appear in your proposal. They'll only appear if you've got the legislative formatting on. Once you've made changes in your code section, you're definitely going to want to add a reason and a cost impact statement. Click on the Reason and Cost Impact tab here on the right and click the Edit button. This will give you 3 big text fields that you can use to input information necessary to submit your proposal. The reason statement is here on top, cost impact statement is second, and on the bottom is a Notes to Staff field. The Notes to Staff field will just transfer information over to the DHCD staff. It will not be part of your proposal, and it will not be reflected in the monograph when you download a copy of your proposal. Instead, this is just a place where you can send any necessary notes over to the staff in case you've got any questions or need clarification, or if you're not sure that you've submitted the proposal correctly. Once you've input any information that you'd like into those 3 fields, you can just click Save, and this will collapse and display whatever you have entered. You can always continue to make edits to these changes, so I can click Edit again, and this time I will put in a reason and click Save. Now my reason statement displays here, and when I take a look at the proposal preview over here, you'll see when I scroll down to the bottom that my reason statement is right in place. If I'd like to make modifications to the reference standards that are listed in the code books, there's a separate tab for that. Rather than inputting those sections from the code books on the Code Sections tab, to give you a little more flexibility, you're able to go to the Reference Standards tab, click Edit, and once again, you've got one big text field that you can use to enter whatever information you find is relevant and to input any changes that you need to make to those reference standards. Make sure you're marking them up in proper legislative format with a strike through and underline when you enter them into the system. If you'd like to leave files or images, you can click on the Attachments tab, and this tab will allow you to upload files to be used in your proposal. This works just like any other file uploader that you've been previously using on the internet. Click Add Files, and you can choose a file for it to upload. You can see I've uploaded an image and it displays a preview here. If I click on that, it'll show me a preview of that image. The file name is listed here, and this is a link directly to the image, and there's an ID number here that I can use to reference that image. There are instructions here to allow you to insert an image into your reason statement directly so that it displays right on the page. Once you've uploaded the file, make sure to note the ID number and come back to your reason statement. I'll click Edit, put my cursor where I'd like that image to appear, and you're going to want to use 2 curly brackets, that ID number, and then close with 2 curly brackets. Once you click Save on that, the system will note that the image goes in place here, and any further time when you reload this page and come back to your reason statement, you'll see that image loading right in place as it should. In the same way, if I preview this proposal again, when I scroll down to my reason statement, the image is directly in place as it needs to be. If instead of an image, I have a file that I'd like to link to, back on the Attachments tab, I can again click Add Files. I can go ahead and link or upload an appropriate file. And though it's not an image and there's no preview, I still get the same file name with a link and ID number. The easiest way to create a link to this file that can be accessed outside of CDP Virginia is to right-click, and depending on your browser, it'll either say Copy Link Address, Copy URL, or Copy Shortcut. That will put the address of that file right into your clipboard, and you'll again come back to Reason and Cost Impact. You can edit. You can take some text and highlight it with your mouse, and then use the Insert or Edit Link button here. Again, right-click, and you'll be able to choose Paste, and it will put that link right in place. click OK, and that will be ready to go for you. You won't be able to click on it while you're still in the editor, but once you click Save, this link will now be live, and when you click on it, it'll take you directly to that file. That will also be true when you download a PDF of that file. You can see when I scroll down to the bottom here, there is a link to the appropriate data, and if I were to click on it, it'll download that file for me so I can download it and save it myself. Now that I've got all my code sections with their edits in place, my reason and cost impact complete with an image and a link to some outside information. I don't have any reference standards to change, but I've already got my attachments in place. Now I can go to this Finalize and Submit tab. Finalize and Submit is the bureaucratic portion of submitting your proposal. This allows you to dot your I's, cross your T's, and make sure you've got everything in place so when the DHCD receives its proposal, it's as complete as can be. First, the proponent information. Your email address that you use to log in will automatically be reflected here, but you can click Change Email and type any email address you choose. If you have a proposal that you are submitting on behalf of yourself instead of your workplace, you can always change your email address just on that proposal and not have to have two accounts or two sets of information inside CDP Virginia. Make sure you always click to enter who you're representing and type the full name of the organization. Try to avoid acronyms unless they are a permanent part of the name. Click Save, and that representation will now be on all of proposal previews as well as stored in the system. Finally, the submission checklist. Items that are in green mean that you're good to go. Items in red mean that you still have something you need to change, and you won't be able to submit your code change to Virginia until you've made that change. You'll note here it tells me that I need both a reason and a cost impact statement. And when I come back to the reason and cost impact tab, sure enough, I have not included any cost impact statement yet. So I can click Edit, enter my cost impact information, and click Save. Now when I come back to Finalize and Submit, I'll see that my required information is green, and this button is now green and clickable so I can send this code change off to Virginia. Do note, as it says down here, as well as in the pop-up that will show up when you try and submit, once you've submitted this proposal, you will no longer be able to make any changes to the content or to the collaborators. You can always contact staff at the Virginia DHCD in order to make further changes to your proposal or for them to open the proposal back up so that you can make changes yourself. I'll go ahead and hit Submit on this one so you can see how this proposal changes once it's been sent off to Virginia. I'll always get this green light indicating to me that my proposal has been correctly submitted. You'll see the status right here, Changes to Submitted, and this whole proposal looks a little different. That's because I no longer have access to make changes to it. Instead, I can just see the proposal and download it in a PDF format as I'd like. Any links that were already in the code book or were things that you changed here, like this link to that file, will still be accessible, and that's true of both you and all of your collaborators. This is the close of how to create proposals using the CDP Virginia. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact the Virginia DHCD staff. As previously mentioned, there's a separate webinar for handling collaborators, and we hope that you view that one as well to take a look at all of the great collaboration features that CDP Virginia has for you. Thank you for your time and for listening to this tutorial, and have a great day and great luck submitting your code change proposals.